This thing won awards apparently. Let's see what it is. This is a tubeless tire inflator from Milkit. Tubeless bike tires, just like automotive tires, need to be seated onto a rim to make an airtight seal. And you can do it with a floor pump, but it's a lot easier with an air compressor. Problem is, not everybody has an air compressor. Some people are living out of a van, so they make these. There are other products like it. You pump it up with a bunch of air, and then in one blast, you can fill that tire up and form the seal. So let's test this and see if it works, and then figure out if it's any different than competing products. So they want me to inflate this to 160 PSI. I hope that doesn't take much work. Okay, that didn't take much work with this nice big floor pump, but then again, I could have seated the tubeless tire with this nice big floor pump, but let's test this. Remove valve core for maximum airflow, optional. Press booster on valve and boost. It's in capitals with an exclamation point, that's what it says. Oh, that didn't seat my tubeless tire. Yeah, I don't think so. It got it on the bead over here, but not over here. Let's try it again. This feels just great on my shoulder. No, it didn't totally seat it. Now, I'm not being entirely fair to this, because if I were seating this with a floor pump, I would actually take the tire and kind of get it onto the bead as much as I can. So let me try doing that the same way that I would with a floor pump. I could have seated this with a floor pump 3 times now. So this time I'm gonna kind of pull the bead on as much as I can in preparation. All right, let's give it one more shot. Close, but still hasn't seated. Let me see if it's just me. Let me see if I can do it with a floor pump. Okay. We're just gonna hear the pop. Oh. Ugh, I'm dehydrated. Okay, so this was a stubborn one, but I got it seated eventually with the floor pump. Why? Well, when I'm using the floor pump, I can hear where the air is coming out, and then I can work on the tire a little bit and go back to the floor pump. With this, you have to have everything set up in one shot. I think if you have a stubborn tire and maybe not the biggest floor pump, you're in a van, this could help you blast most tires onto the rim, especially one that's not as stubborn as this one, but those usually work just fine with a floor pump. Now, I'm not knocking this product. It's definitely gonna be for some people, and it looks like it has one other feature that makes it a little bit different than competing products. For what it's worth, you can use this as a water bottle. Kind of makes me feel like you could also put this on a water bottle, I don't know. That certainly makes it useful when you're not using it. If you live out of a van, if you're backpacking, this might be able to save you. For the price, $65, they're definitely making a hefty profit on this thing. It's definitely for some people, and the fact that you can use it as a water bottle is kind of nice. And the fact that the price is actually in line with competing products with this extra feature makes it interesting, but I'm being honest, it's not for me. All right, what do we got next? A Robert axle. I've been using these for years. I love them, and it's just about time I feature one and show you what it is. It is a through axle with a little nut on the end. Why would you need that? Well, you get yourself a bike trailer, a kid trailer, and it comes with one of these little receiver guys. How do you put this on the bike? Well, you take the nut off the rear axle and you bolt it on, except if you have a mountain bike or a gravel bike or pretty much anything but a department store commuter bike, that part isn't on the bike. And so these are kid trailer adapters or utility trailer adapters. You can take your through axle out, put this in, and you can bolt one of these on. I have one on my gravel bike. I plan to put some of them on my mountain bikes. It gives me another option. It's super useful, super simple, and the quality of the axle is great. I've bought several of these for several different bikes and I like them, and so I wanted to pass the information on to you. Okay.
It was Oscar.
Oscar, come here. Come on, Oscar, hop in with your little sister. He's like, help, help. Inside of this bag is something extraordinary. But first, I'm gonna show you the bag. This bag was sent to me ages ago and it just sat there. I never reviewed it. And then last week I started using it because my shoulder's messed up. So I've been gravel riding and it fits perfectly on my gravel bike. I actually love this bag. The build quality is superb. It's made by this little homebrew company on Etsy and it's not even that expensive. I think it's like 40 or 45 bucks, which in the bougie bag category is really, really fair. It's built out of really sturdy fabric. It's got water resistant zippers and it's really functional. I carry all sorts of stuff in it. My one complaint is that the zippers, they kind of rattle around. Now, I only hear it when I'm going kind of moderate speed on some gravel. If I'm going really fast, there are other things making noise, and so I don't notice it, but it's worth noting. But next, I want to show you what I've been carrying inside of it. What the heck's this? Now, you might have seen this before, the Hover X1. A lot of YouTubers have been reviewing this because Hover's been paying them to. I bought this because I thought it was kind of cool and I wanted to say whatever I wanted to say about it. This is not a drone. This is a self-flying camera. I still call it a drone, but it doesn't have a controller, doesn't give you airport warnings, just none of the hassle. You just turn it on and start using it. Let me show you. And that's all there is to it. All right, let's start with the good. It does follow you, as you can see. It'll even follow you with some trees and stuff around. Sometimes it hits into a tree and then it just plops onto the ground. You pick it up and use it again. I have not broken it and it's got some battle scars on it, but nothing serious.
Please pay attention.
You pay attention. It is super lightweight and compact. You can just fold it up. It's lighter than a cell phone and you can put it in your bike bag. You can even probably fit it in a jacket pocket. If you're an adventurer who likes to relive their experiences, share their experiences, this thing is pretty sick. It's also really simple. I avoid using a drone sometimes because I gotta boot it up and I gotta get the controller working and then I gotta go through all these warnings and update notifications. This thing you just turn on and use. It's also really fun. My kids love it. It doesn't have any SD cards. You just use an app to get the footage and the app is actually quite good. So now for the downsides. The video quality, well, it's okay. It's not even really up to par with the best cell phone cameras. And so as a professional, sometimes I can sneak in a shot here and there, and I have, you might have noticed. The other part is the price. This is $369 in its base configuration, and you can get a DJI Mini for less than that, and that thing looks way better, but they're not the same thing. The DJI Mini has all the downsides of a drone. But despite these downsides, I'm actually really happy with my purchase. I've been using this a ton. If the light is good, if everything works out, I can use a shot and I can get shots that I would have otherwise not had because it's just so easy to use. I don't avoid it and it can come around with me. And if you're just using Instagram and sharing things with your friends and family, this is kind of amazing. It can follow you from behind. It can lead in front of you, go next to you. You can just set it to orbit you and get a shot. It's pretty extraordinary, and I can't wait for a version that shoots in 4K, maybe with a slightly better camera. So that is a cool thing to use on your ride. Something that's not cool to use on your ride, a first aid kit, a helivac, or one of these guys. I reviewed this a long time ago, and it has actually become one of my favorite things, and the company sent me something else today. Forgive me if this is a super common thing among campers and backpackers. I have never seen compressed paper towel tablets in my entire life, and so you're gonna witness the first time I ever discover one. I guess it says here just to add water. I don't know, it looks like it would taste minty actually. So, okay, little puck, Let's drop it into the water and see what happens. Am I not supposed to be amazed by that? It's actually a pretty sturdy paper towel too. Feels kind of nice. This is awesome. It works even better with just like a little drop of water because now the paper towel is not like soaking. It's just like damp. Oh my God. I don't know why I'm so amazed by this. Now they give you 10 of them per pack. And so, I don't know, for me, one pack would last a really long time. It's also consumable. You could carry around a rag and just get it wet. Of course, these are always clean. Things that are disposable like that, I try to avoid. It is 100% cotton. So yeah, it's about the environmental impact of a Cliff Bar. But to keep around for an emergency and use every once in a while, this is pretty incredible. And it is sturdy. How much does this cost? $20 for 5 of them. Okay, so it's $4 per pack, and then you get 10 of these. So what does that cost per paper towel? Okay, you're only talking cents. Still a lot cheaper to just rip off a paper towel, crumple it up, and jam it into your bag. But this is pretty elegant. You could put this in your handlebar, your seat tube. You could put it in your backpack, leave them in your glove box. I'm not gonna lie, as a dad with kids whose faces get all messed up and carrying around packs of wipes, I'm gonna leave some of these in my car. Not bad. Next up, we've got some integrated tools from Crankbrothers. I wasn't sure if these were just cool looking or actually useful, and then I took this one with me to Texas, and I actually used it. This is the BC18. BC stands for bottle cage. And it's a water bottle cage and everything you need for your ride. So you install it on the bike, and over here, there's a canister, and in the canister, you have a multi-tool. And the multi-tool has everything you expect, from wrenches to a chain tool, and it even has a tire inflator on the end of it. And inside the cap, there are actually tire plugs. Then on the other side of the bottle cage, you can store a CO2 or a pump. And so you pretty much have everything you need, but also inside the bottle cage, they give you a tire lever, a really stiff and stout tire lever, not the multi-tool kind. And on the other side of the tire lever is a plug fork and an extra plug. And so you have plugs here, you have plug here, and then you have a fork to install it. Now this is one of the most complete and robust solutions that I've seen, and so I really like it. But I do have one criticism, having used it to repair a tire. This plug fork is actually really big. And so I had a tiny hole in my tire that I needed to plug, and it took a lot to push this into it, but I did get it repaired and it did work. It was nice not being stranded out in the woods on Station Mountain. Now it's worth noting, they expect you to put a CO2 over here, but since I was on an airplane, I couldn't bring CO2, and so I had this little hand pump in there. I hope to never use this, but I did that day. I pumped up my entire tire with this hand pump, and it worked well enough, and the bottle cage held onto it very nicely on my enduro bike. So I'm fairly impressed with this bottle cage tool. Now this one is a little bit different. This is the TT17, and you need to have an accessory mount to use this. So either another spot for a bottle cage on your bike, or 2 little bolts underneath the frame, somewhere where you can mount this. Now, the advantage that this gives you is the quickest access to a multi-tool that I've ever seen on any bike. You just push the button and it pops out. And on the other side, the CO2 just pops out. And it has every single feature of the other tool, including a really nice tire lever. But again, this isn't gonna be for everybody because you have to have an accessory mount in order for it to work. Now, as you might imagine, these are not cheap at all. I think each of them are about 100, 120 bucks. And that's about in line with other integrated tools. Like by the time you get a 1-up EDC installed on your bike or any of the other ones out there, you're in for about $120 or more. And so you can always just throw some supplies in your jersey pocket for 40 bucks and get the same exact result. But if you like something really slick, you like being prepared, and you like everything integrated, these are really cool. I am running this on my cross-country bike, and I'm definitely running this on my enduro bike for sure. So with that, let's see how good this thing really is. All right, come on. It's a piece of garbage. I'm gonna throw that. Hope you learned something. If not, I hope you were at least entertained. Thanks for riding with me today, and I'll see you next time.